Got it. Perfect.
There we go.
Thank you, Nicole.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So we're recording so we can get started. So Age Friendly Millinocket September 20th meeting is underway. Very good. Thank you all for coming. Great turnout. Yeah. And hi, Amber on the screen. Thank you. I sent out the meeting minutes from August. Didn't hear from anybody that they needed any edits, so they will go on record as presented. And so I think we'll just jump right into the agenda. And top of the agenda, Barbara, I'm going to turn it over to you as our
Okay.
AmeriCorps
Okay.
project organizer, and you're going to talk us. Yep.
Yeah, I have two projects to talk about. They're both very much in process. And thanks, Nicole, for helping me so much put together some of the slides to go along with the plan. So as part, one of my projects for my AmeriCorps term, I've been a member of what's called the Maine Walking College, which has been a 6-month series of classes. We've each picked a project to improve some kind of walking accessibility in our communities, and I picked the Michaud Trail. And there's a deadline for the final draft of the walking action plan, which is September 30th. So this, what I've distributed, is an almost final draft, but it needs to be fine-tuned. Along with the plan, we are eligible for a $550 grant to apply to some of the items on our recommended plan changes. And so just, this plan is organized according to what the Walking College template wants, which is a background on your community. So I did a little bit of background as we can scroll, background on the community, where we expect to be 3 to 5 years from now, why the walking trail will be relevant no matter how much we improve all other kinds of infrastructure, and no matter how many people are coming to Baxter State Park, we'll always need a downtown trail that's accessible for people with small children, people in wheelchairs, and visitors who just come to the downtown and who don't plan to hike in Baxter State Park. So we'll always be something useful and desirable. So the question is how to make it our community partnerships. There are many organizations now operating in the area. You're familiar with all of them, I'm sure. Things like our Katahdin Collaborative, the Gear Library, the Tourism Center, Boreal Theater, which is now right at the little Heritage Plaza, the Elks Lodge, and the Wabanaki Health and Wellness Center. They'll all be in some way promoting or contributing to the project, including signage at the corner of Central and Penobscot at the Heritage Plaza. That's a wayfaring sign pointing out the Michaud Trail and the length and how to get there, because there's nothing right downtown that shows that. So the other item that we can scroll, Nicole, other agencies, they want specific pull out from the mission statements of each program, which I will do when I complete. I didn't want to try to just remember them, because each of the organizations has a mission statement that will be relevant to cooperating to improve the Michaud Trail. So, and then further on, we have specific outcomes desired. We're keeping it really specific and small. Benches, garbage cans, picnic tables, but improved signage. I very much want to include signage for strollers and wheelchairs. There's no icons whatsoever on the path. And actually it's quite accessible. I did traverse it with Louis, and he pointed out a lot of areas that need improvement, including some slopes at the bridges where it's not really ADA standards. So, but just adding the icons will help. And also, as you'll see when we show the pictures, there's some areas where the AT trail is right parallel to the Micho Trail, and there's some gravel and things spilling over. We could improve the separation there with some planting, yeah, so, step by step.
So when you say AT, you mean the ATV?
ATV, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Not the Appalachian Trail,
Yeah,
right?
right, I knew that, but just, yeah.
And actually, I believe that section of trail is
Is that
not supposed to have ATVs on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well, there's two parallel paths, but there's a lot of gravel spillage.
yeah, because their ATVs are going on it, but they're
Yeah, yeah.
not supposed to.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Do you know what the initial intent was for that second?
Yeah,
Snow
it is
sled,
snow
okay.
It's all supposed to be,
Okay.
it's not supposed to be
Oh.
ATVs, but ATVs go wherever they want now, so.
But I think if they get the trail open to East Millinocket, that will get opened up as a main way to get there. As far as I know.
So, let's go back to part 5, step-by-step plan. Present the walking action plan to you guys. Submit it, the final version, on the 30th to the Walking College at the same time that we apply for this grant, which, talking to Ralph at DOT, it should cover,
Okay, okay, that's what's confusing me. Who is DOT?
Department of Transportation and Millinocket.
Okay,
Public Works.
that's Public Works. Okay, that's,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sorry,
DOT.
Ralph. All right,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I can't
Public
imagine
Works.
state coming to do
Okay.
this.
yeah.
Great, thank you.
My bad.
let's do.
And he was very friendly. He had a couple of extra signs kicking around. He gave me the name of the vendor to call. And he was surprised that there was no longer a sign at Central where the Micho Trail crosses Central. Somehow it disappeared. So it used to be.
Used to be there.
So we have 3 years to make these changes. I'm sure we can do them sooner, but Louis and Bobby had a little chat when we were walking. She needs help with her watering infrastructure. She's hauling on her own water. And so some kind of trailer hitch for an immediate fix, but
The tanker, little tank,
tank,
Yeah.
yeah.
tank
Long
that's on a
term,
trail.
if we could get her some water piping, do you think that's a possibility, some real infrastructure so she could turn a spigot?
Well, you need it all along the trail, so I mean, if she has a tank, she can haul behind the
Okay.
tractor.
So we need a punch list from her as to what she would need, but the immediate doable small win, I think, is the icons for strollers and wheelchairs, and also I'd like to see a map at each end. Right now, we'll see if we maybe go to the pictures. I took a bunch of pictures over a period of time. That's the original map when they installed the trail in 2011. It's a really nice map, but you don't know it's there unless you're right there already. So it'd be nice to have one at the end of the trail so that people on the other end starting can get a sense of what it is. And also something like this at Central Penobscot at the Heritage Plaza. I don't think this one would have to be replicated. I like it, but maybe we could replicate this one for the other end of the trail and have something more schematic for the Heritage Plaza sign.
So when you
But-
say the other end of the trail, do you mean at the back
At
of the school,
stern,
at the
yeah,
high
the back.
school?
I mean,
the
that
back?
could be, you could
Yeah.
start from there.
Right,
Yeah.
because of the
But,
parking. Yep.
let's say you were parked there, and wanted to start from there, you wouldn't know, you wouldn't have an overview of it.
Mhm.
So this is an example of one of the existing signs. It's in pretty good shape, but it does not have a wheelchair or a stroller icon.
Mhm.
So we're hoping that we can maybe just add those, or we might need to do a whole new sign. I don't know yet. I don't know. So next sign, this is an example, just not well maintained, just needs, during the summertime, it needs to be
Cut back.
cut back, yeah. Not a big deal. Example of one of probably the original bench, this is near Stearns, probably needs to be replaced. And there are some nice benches that you can get, recycled plastic that actually have some nice designs that would be weatherproof. Right across from there is a kind of a scenic outlook, could be good for a picnic table too. Here's Bobby, hard at work. It was a very hot day. We just said hello and thanked her for all she does. So if you've ever walked it, you'll know that the flowers and the planting are all her work there. Yeah. And she does it all by herself. This is what we were talking about with the ATV path, the gravel being spilled over to the show. So this should be only in winter for snowmobiles?
Snowmobile.
Is that it? Okay. I don't know how to enforce that, but that's just something we do, so.
Good luck.
Another, one more picture maybe?
We'll say it's getting a lot
Oh, yeah.
less use this summer than
Um,
it did last year, with a certain resident gone.
Oh, yeah.
Just another example of kind of rough going if you're in a wheelchair or even a stroller or walking. It'd be nice to have someone do a refresh of the whole path. It's been 10 years, so it's in pretty good shape for that.
That's the sidewalk there,
Where's
right?
This sidewalk is right by the
Street.
school.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. sidewalk.
And this is where, remind me, Louis, this is where the AT crosses
Right
the,
behind the,
I think that's the access.
Granite
to the
School.
electrical.
Yeah.
where
right
Granite
behind the-
transitions the road,
so,
the power stations there.
it's kind of a,
Onto Ash Street,
should
right?
be a continuous
station,
trail
yes.
there. A path.
Well, it's a road that comes into the
That's
power
actually a road.
station.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
So, as far as putting a path across there, that being a dirt road, I mean, I don't know how you would do that.
My suggestion was using the crusher dust or whatever to make
Oh,
a
that's
better
right,
path.
right.
Uh-huh.
Build it up a little higher.
Yeah,
Yeah, because like there is a significant drop right here.
Yeah.
And right there that make it difficult.
yeah,
So,
Crusher dust packs well and it drains well, so it wouldn't go anywhere.
okay. It was very useful to do it with Louis. He put in a lot of things that I hadn't noticed, so. And this is right across from that old broken down bench. This would actually be a nice place for a picnic table, as there's a nice outlook there. Some people thought they were hesitant to have the picnic table right by the high school that kids might hang out, but it's difficult to say if you want to make the path pleasant, but I don't know.
this is pretty far from
Right
school. There's some
across.
other access points I think that kids. would-
Yeah, but it's a nice outlook, or at least another bench there maybe.
Yeah.
Also, garbage cans are needed. There's only one at the very beginning of the trail. And Bobby right now is the one who picks up the garbage personally. Yeah.
Yeah, once you put a garbage can out, you gotta have responsibility of who's gonna empty it, when it's gonna get emptied.
Yep,
And it's a whole ball of wax putting out a garbage can.
but there's one at the beginning that was overflowing.
I'm
and
sure it was.
It looks, so maybe the town needs to think about how they want to do that, because it's not very inviting when you see an overflowing garbage. And Bobby shouldn't have to do that, yeah.
Be like the
Or I
bar,
was gonna
pack
say,
it in,
or
pack it out.
that's right, I was just gonna say, put a sign up that says carry in, carry out, you just,
Yeah.
you don't, there's
I
no
do
trash.
wish-
Anything that you put down in there, in that area right there,
Mhm.
you're gonna have to have it bolted to the ground. It's gonna have to be steel.
Mhm.
Because you're wasting your time because they
Because of
will
the kids?
destroy
Those
it.
kids.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are, conversations to have when you do, when we get the grant, when we decide to execute and make a timeline for different things, but immediately a map, a sign across Central showing the continuation and the icons would be the quick things to do. But I think there's no question that it's an important part of the downtown, and it's not gonna be made obsolete by having more hikers or other facilities. It's a wonderful jewel of the town, really, so. And it's done pretty well considering it's been 10 years, with Bobby's help, yeah.
Yeah.
This is something, when I do the final grant, I have to connect my suggestions to what they call the walk audit toolkit. And I have had two people, I walked with different people when I did the walking group, they filled out their suggestions. It's a lot easier than being on a busy street corner or something. So the final proposal will have references to this, which is kind of a cool thing if anybody wants to look at. Get that free on there. So So that's that. Any questions?
That's great. So, when you were going over the community partnerships, I noticed Catanari Trails, KAT, with Mike Smith wasn't listed, and he's
Oh,
been involved,
perfect.
well, through the Gear Library and,
Okay,
yeah,
good
and
talking
all the
about
other
it.
trails, in-town trails. So that could be an addition to
Yeah,
that community partnership.
When the Mission Trail was first put in, down where that sign is,
Uh-huh.
there was also a little box and it had small maps in it. The
Oh, yeah?
chamber used to make small maps and put in there.
That would be nice.
They
yeah.
stopped doing that
Yeah,
years ago.
I think I actually created the first map. I gotta see if I can find it. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I was
I,
gonna say, do you still have
I'm
it?
gonna ha-
'Cause the trail itself hasn't changed.
right,
Yeah.
right. And of course, it was the very first one, thinking somebody would make a more professional looking one, but we still need, I need to see if I can find
That would
that,
be great.
but,
Yeah.
yeah, if it-
Could also have it online that everybody now, with it, could say, we could add to the existing sign a website if you want to look at them,
right,
something
right.
like that, or download
Yeah,
it
what are
when you
those,
get
what's that
home.
little code?
The QR,
QR
QR or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever the technology is today.
Scan this. and then
Yeah,
go
yeah,
there.
it comes right out.
There, but no, but I agree as far as like starting at a different location anywhere on it, there's no,
No.
You
And
are
eventually,
here.
I'm
No
sure-
clue you're joining the trail.
yeah.
You are
right.
here.
Yeah, and I'm sure,
That was the beginning and the end right there.
they're planning something at the Heritage Plaza, I think, it's general signage for
Yes.
the town, but I don't know whether. Actually, we have a meeting tomorrow with them, we can maybe ask them a little bit more about that. But, I love the trail, it's really, any time of year, it's beautiful, and it always very restorative. Yeah, I love it.
One of the long-term things you have to think about that trail is winter walking and access. At 4 o'clock in the winter, that trail is pretty much abandoned because there's no light on it.
There's no
It
light.
gets
Especially the
very
back.
icy.
Now,
Very
Very
icy. I know
icy.
some people that have had some pretty bad falls
Really?
in the winter.
Yeah.
out there.
We had a study, we walked through that with the DOT a couple of years ago with the town. And at that point, the price range was about $500,000 to $700,000 to put lighting on that trail. But it's something to think about in the future. I wouldn't discount it just because of the price, but I think if you're gonna do and improve that trail, I think lighting is very important.
Louis and I talked about that a little bit. You can get motion activated solar lights that let people use in their gardens, along the trail, but he said they would just be stolen. Yeah,
That
Yeah,
may-
I think you need a more permanent
yeah,
industrial solution for
Yeah.
that,
Something up on the tree somewhere or.
up on poles.
I mean, we've already, they've already broke the lights down at the park.
Hmm.
Broke one of them, I see, ripped it right off.
Ripped it right up.
personally, I don't think there would be a lot of people using it at night. It's not, it's a bit isolated to use at night, so. I
Well,
mean,
the kids, well, we were thinking about for safety because the kids
Oh.
use that trail during the school year
Yeah,
and they do walk down there.
okay,
It's surprising. I live at the very end of that section of the trail and it's surprising the number of people that walk down that at night.
at night, okay.
Yes.
So that's something to think about lighting, maybe some ARPA money for that.
Yeah.
And the other issue in the
Tuck
winter
themselves
time is the
into the woods.
snowmobiles fly up and down that stretch of trail.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you can hear them from pretty far away, so
Yeah.
they do really fast.
Okay.
So Randy, I remember hearing about that study. Is that study located anywhere or just in your head because you participated in it? I just didn't know if there's anything Barbara could include in her report that had been done.
Yeah, I don't think this
considered.
actual study ever got done because we were so put off by the
Cost.
price at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Would it be cheaper if it was solar activated lighting? Wouldn't have to connect to power
It
source.
can it can be solar, motion activated and just
Yeah.
up in the trees somewhere.
Well, something to investigate, yeah,
And specific to the back path area.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it could, you could include that in your study as far
Yeah.
as like,
yeah,
in the future, something to
yeah,
be thinking about,
because-
and then for,
Yeah,
for funding
Yeah.
for future,
Mhm.
just.
Yep.
That it was
if you
discussed.
don't have to do wiring to a power source, it should be a lot cheaper, yeah. Okay. Well, it's been fun working on it. I'm not quite done, but I'm very motivated because it's a wonderful place. And you were involved in getting it.
Yeah, so
established.
that sign where it starts, so back, some of the grant funding I had back, where the Partnership for Healthy Northern Penobscot, you'll see that sign down there. So I had some
Okay.
funding that was
Yeah.
involved in that. and, Yeah, promoting
Yeah.
physical activity in the outdoors and
Yeah, it was one of the first things people told me about when I moved here, said you've got to walk the trail, so. And I said, where is it? Where, how do I?
it'd be interesting to find out if there's any federal funds, because that was all federally funded, right, to
Originally,
the
yeah.
town. And so, and whether Mike Mishu has a lead on any funding for us,
Contact. yeah.
contact or to
What would
keep
you,
that up
any
or
of you
whatever. I
think
don't know.
about, I know that some exercise circuits have stretching or bars or things at different points. Would you think that would be appropriate, or should we leave it just completely natural? Like something you could take a break and do something.
Could be near one of the schools, it could, kids could use it as well.
Mhm.
There was that
Exercise stations.
grant through New Balance used it, I know.
For that, well, there's money available for outdoor, all-weather, all-season areas with like 5 different exercise stations, and it's in about half the size of this room where you go around, but that would be,
Yeah,
They're
it's not
expensive.
equipment, it's basically blocks, like concrete, with different
well, bars. that you-
instructions.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
To tell you how to
but,
utilize it for
Yeah,
isometric.
this recently had a spot on the news, one of the towns erected one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lewiston, I think
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
Lewiston.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
info on it somewhere.
Potentially could be in a corner of the plaza, Heritage Plaza. but-
Mhm.
Well, what do you think about the idea of having occasional places where you could?
Yeah, so that's, I'm curious, like you said, or just leave it the way it
Like a
is as a
fitness center.
walking thing, or,
Yeah, I have a few minds. I feel
Yeah.
like it is a walking one,
Right.
but I've seen them done really nicely. I'm thinking of the Audubon Park in New Orleans has a very nice setup.
And it kind of marks your path, you say, let's go as far as the bars, that, whatever.
I could see putting it more towards the
School,
school.
that's
kind
what
of
I was
having-
thinking too,
Yeah, kind of
yeah.
having that integrated into the school a little bit more than just in the path itself.
We own the property as well, so it'd be-
There's an area by
Town
the
owns the
electric
property,
station that's
so.
just an open area, with the old millstones surrounded. You could have several little things right there, as well as a picnic table.
yeah, some things to
Okay.
think about.
Well, but this path doesn't go anywhere near Heritage Park.
No, I know, that's a separate issue.
Oh, okay.
To have, when we had a presentation on these units, it would be a place where people, since we don't have a community center, if you want to get some
Have a sign
exercise
pointing
in
that
the
way to
winter, yeah.
off the trail.
Yeah, I think some of their planning is to have some sort of kiosk or different maps on where you can get on in-town trails for Millinocket.
Mhm.
It includes stuff behind the school, the Catania Trails, the Mishu Trail, things that are already here and things they're working on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Trail on Jerry
directive.
Pond.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like that. That was
Mhm.
nice.
I know that's in part of their thinking.
Yeah, because, yeah, you
Okay,
come into a
so,
sign.
anyway, it's a good start, and we've got
It's a
3
great
to
start.
5 years to execute. I really like the fact that I feel like the committee is very supportive of this, so it feels good. So
And so your grant for $550, you've got that taken care of, you're gonna submit.
still have to, it's a 1-page grant. The library is gonna be the recipient. And Ralph gave me the name of a couple of vendors where I could get pricing for the signs and see if they can add icons or if it has to be a whole new sign. I'm sure we can get two signs for $500.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but I hope so.
I know, you never know, but he did say, I kind of hinted, I said, possibly, could it be installed by you guys as a
Mhm.
volunteer? He said, oh, we'll do in-kind contribution, he won't charge us for the installation.
Yeah, we'll do that. I'll be gone by then.
Yeah, he's retiring.
I don't know. if I
Leave it
can
for the
go
next
yet.
guy.
When does he retire?
Next spring.
October.
Oh, is that coming right
November.
up?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, he's
Gone.
almost gone.
All right, I better really-
Oh, all right, move along.
Yeah.
He's good for it. yeah.
No wonder he was so, yeah. I can
We'll
put
do
my
whatever.
office.
Anything you want.
Oh, wow. Where is he located? I want to
Really?
meet him in person.
Well, it's at the Public Works Garage,
Yeah,
so I
have
don't
a
know,
lot
probably you
up there.
best
Where is
call
that?
and find out instead of like just showing up, because
You
I
know
can't
where,
imagine
Oh, no,
he's
I
there
want to
very
show.
open.
But
You
where
know
is
where
it?
Emery Lee's building is on Central Street?
It's
You
towards
know where that
the-
is?
Across from the funeral home almost. car wash.
Or is it
It's
in relation
towards
to
like
better
a-
savings?
So
No,
they.
way
Up
up
on
the hill.
Wendell Street.
And I'm sure if you go on the town website, you can get his phone
Okay.
number. I can't
Oh, I-
think of it right away, but
Yeah, I've talked to him in person and he texted me some pictures. He poked around his office and found an extra sign and stuff. I think he's thrilled at getting rid of some stuff. so. Okay, so moving right along.
very
Do I
good.
still have time?
Yeah, so you do have
Farmers
time.
Market. So, the progress on that, thanks to Nicole, we had a wonderful, pop-up market at Trails End. That's our table. On the left is Mobilized Katahdin Materials, helped by Laura. Then I went and talked to every vendor who was there. I can go along. I got a sign-up sheet, I have that Nicole helped me with, and got lots of names of
Nice.
vendors who are interested in participating in a farmer's market. And if you look at some of the other pictures, you'll see this was pretty well attended. The Trails End people were quite happy with the turnout. We had perfect weather. Sunday was terrible. We were so blessed. We had perfect weather. So I went and talked to people who were selling soap and honey and jewelry and stuffed pillows and all kinds of things. And I got some good feedback, which was the Lincoln Market is on Friday mornings. So they thought Saturday morning would be a great time for the Millinocket Market. And some of them said, I can only come once a month. Would that be okay? So when we start structuring the fees and so on, we have to make sure we don't, it's not that they're not interested, they just have other commitments. We can adjust for people who can't come every week. Every week. So the other progress here is, would you believe, the Maine Federation of Farmers Markets contacted me and they want to talk. They said, how can we help you? We heard, I don't know who told them, we heard you're planning a farmer's market. Can we help? We'll do a press release when you're ready. We're having a Zoom with them on Thursday.
That would have been
Emily
Sonia
at
and
the,
I. Yeah.
So
Sonia.
now we have to do it because people
Yeah.
heard about it.
Words out, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
and also Tracy Perry from Wabanaki Health and Wellness is interested in participating and helping to organize, and they're right across the street. And Tom, thanks to you, you offered Veterans Park because we have insurance through the town, right, at Veterans Park. So you can't retire now. So, projected opening date is, May or June 2023. And I will tell you, almost every single person that I talked to said, well, didn't you used to have one down at Crandall Park? And I said, yep, but she moved away and it collapsed because there was no structure. I said, this time we really want a structure so that if one person leaves, it won't dissolve. So feeling really good about it. There's a lot to do. Oh, Nicole came up, I don't know what class you're taking, whatever, she came up with this beautiful
I
spreadsheet.
cannot take credit for that spreadsheet.
It's got like 10 categories on it with priorities, as share, stakeholders, all kinds of wonderful touch points that makes me feel like we're really on solid ground because we'll be able to track as we go.
Yeah, it's a very, there's a lot of moving parts to this, so I wanted something that could give us a roadmap of we'll do this, this, and this, and it gives us some prioritization.
Yep.
And, yeah, but I can't take credit.
But it's fantastic, and when Nicole showed it to me, I just felt so much better, because it's a big project.
Excuse me, do you have more pictures to share?
Are there any more pictures?
I don't think so.
Just to go back to the group so we can see Amber. Thank you.
Okay,
And,
so,
We've changed the victor's licenses now, so they're for a year.
oh,
So when they buy their victor's license, it's for one year,
okay,
not
So-
3 months or 6 months.
okay, so, any questions right now that we're moving along and we're committed to doing that? So, I mean,
Exciting, yeah,
hopefully we can open in May or June. I don't see why not.
right.
So this is my main project
Great.
and with Nicole's help. So, okay, that's it for me today.
And I don't want to insert something not on the agenda, but along the vein of farmer's market, we had a successful season of senior farm share. That was one of the projects we wanted to bring to the area. Saturday, we had an area-wide food distribution. Tom DeCoste of Fox Green Farms was with us again for his final of the season. And we had a line from here almost halfway to the elevator, people saying, I know it's the last, I gotta come and get the rest of my share, you know, so people really turned out, and I was able to help Tom with the bookkeeping and, you know, checking people in and out. And
So Sarah, just a minute. So it wasn't here in the library. You're just saying
no,
like.
it
from
wasn't.
here to there.
No,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
So
saying,
here-
that distance.
That distance, yeah, for other people that might
here's a
be
Google
listening.
picture, sorry.
Yeah, it's down in
And,
East Millinocket, Tri-Town
It
Baptist.
is, yeah,
Yes.
right, the parking lot.
Yes.
And so I talked with Tom because nearly every person said, you're gonna do this next year. It's just been such a help to have it here, not in Lincoln, or having to go out of town. And he said, absolutely, but along with that, he said, I said, call Barbara, talk with her, really like to have you at the farmer's market if we could. So he's going to really work to try to fit an extra date in to do Saturdays or whatever day we choose for farmer's market. And he would be happy to do that because he had such a good response from people at, what is the name of the senior living over at St. Martin's area?
Stearns Assistant?
Well, Stearns.
The
but-
congregate housing?
The congregate housing.
Yeah.
He said nearly everyone who lives there will participate, so he was making deliveries there at the end, the last couple of months, but. So he said I had at least 70 people in Millinocket interested in senior farm share this year, which was a boon for what we.
70?
70, yeah, at the end. His book, I mean, I went through it and I recognized nearly, you know, all the names and people who were really participating. So they were so excited about it and looking forward to it next year. So I'm glad to see that. Because at first he was a little hesitant. That's why I only came as far as East Millinocket. Like, I don't want to travel all the way up. Let me see how it goes. And
So as a reminder, so Farm Share gives them $50
Yes.
towards goods. So once their $50 is expended, do they just then use their own money if they want to
yes,
continue?
they can. Yeah.
And or can they use, like if they have the equivalent of food stamps or the EB?
Yes, they have their EBT card, their SNAP card,
Their SNAP card.
WIC cards were utilized that day. We had one gentleman that came and picked up WIC for his young children and utilized that. He has the software, something with his phone. I'm not privy to how that all works, but anyway, yeah. And then people just cash that came that wanted to buy from him. So mini farmers market kind of
Yeah.
event. But yeah, people went home, you know, and he was just generous. You know, some ladies would come, so well, I really want a pumpkin, but I really need this. He's like, you know, here you go. And it's just a wonderful guy. I really was thankful that we had him as our farmer. So
Very good.
very excited about that. That's just a side note.
Thank you.
Anyway, so caregiver support group, this will be our third meeting of our caregiver support group. I've put an updated flyer on the table. So if you know someone, you have a place near your office, you can post, share, please do. We're doing a focus this time on, I'm going to ask Shelley Blaisdell of Mobilized Katahdin to come and give us, because running the meeting, trying to do the Zoom, I just knew it would be probably more than I wanted to bite off in the meeting. So she and I have been working with Megan Millard of Eastern Area Agency on Aging on the Alzheimer's funding that they had for materials, goods, services in the Alzheimer's store. All you have to do is self-report that you have someone with dementia. There's not even any kind of process to prove that you need it, but self-reporting. And so we thought these folks that are coming to our group could partake of that.
Same with all that dementia here, what?
No, I'm just saying that people, you know, in the
support
caregiver-
group?
Yeah, in the support group. So they have everything from cell phones geared to folks that, you know, with early stages that can still use a cell phone, but it's set up with pictures of the people that they would want to call. It's limited with 2 buttons of talk and hang up. And so they have funding for that up to $500 where you can get something like that with chargers you just lay your phone on. Just all kinds of products, whether it be, you know, sleep products, telephone
Simplify it.
products. Yeah, all kinds of things. And so Megan said there's tons of money still available that hasn't been used up yet. And so she said to me, do you know other people? I said, I'll have Shelley come in September and do a presentation, and we're actually going to help them order the materials that they want at that meeting if we can, so that they get it in before the deadline in October and get those orders done.
Good.
So I think that would be a big help for people. along with that, the caregiver support group, I think, is going just great. I
Very
mean,
well.
I've just been so pleased with the cohesive coming together of this group. And I'm sure it's because some folks recognize someone else from the community or, but just the way they've opened up and really kind of bonded already in just 2 meetings has been very,
And the turnout's been good, especially
It has.
compared with our brewer where they only get 1 person and we've
Wow.
had 6.
really, yeah. We had
So-
8, I think, the first and 6 last time.
Yeah.
Because one of our caregivers was in out-of-state caring for her father. But, you know, again, I said, I think word of mouth too, you know, we encourage them, if you know others in your community that are, you know, in the same position where they're taking care of a loved one, please.
And having Jeff Hammond be available for the person, the
Right.
loved one who may not have anybody else to care
Right,
for.
and that
they
has
can
been a
bring
big-
them to the library.
A big help, and I appreciate Barbara. Ann mentioned she would like to volunteer as well.
I enjoy the music.
Right,
Is,
so,
is there an age limit to that?
no, there
No.
isn't.
Like if you have a young person that's taking care of
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
a child or something.
Yeah, and Ann asked me that as well, and I said, no, absolutely. Anyone who's in the position, and it doesn't have to be a dementia patient or loved one. Yeah, we have, you know, maybe a person who's caring for someone with a stroke or someone with whatever the capacity is, you know, for their caregiving. And, you know, we want them to just feel supported because all caregivers share certain elements within their daily life, you know. So with that, it came to my mind, back in May, Barbara and I were part of the orientation or training for our lifelong AmeriCorps down in in Orono at the University of Maine. And they had a group called Marty Stevens Interactive Improvisational Troupe. So it's kind of a long name, but I'm wondering, we're going to share the screen for folks on Zoom. And I thought I'm going to just, Nicole again, she's so good with Canva and all that. But we wanted to have some kind of a little presentation, I say little, but a conversation starter. I thought, what if I brought Marty Stevens' group to Millinocket and we opened a conversation with people who are in leadership in Millinocket, people who are in EMS, people who are in doctor's offices, people who take care of people who are caregivers and their loved one. And then we invited caregivers in the community as well to just have a forum, a little meeting of the minds, and said, and these scenarios that they do, they're going to do 3 scenarios for us. They're acted out. And it might be, like I said, a gentleman who's caring for his wife who's had a stroke, and yet he doesn't have a minute to himself, and he feels guilty if he does take a minute to himself. And, you know, and it just presents it, and then they freeze. And then the improv part is from the audience, let's all brainstorm with them. How can Fred get some help while he's going through this extremely difficult position in life, but it has to be done because someone has to care for Martha, you know? And then people, so the beauty of it is the brainstorming amongst all the people who are there, going through those very things, along with people like Tom and other people who see these folks day in, day out in their work, where they could say, have you thought about this resource? Eastern area has that. How about this? And it really would give people some tools in their hands that day. And it just brings people together also to say, I said, the thing that came to my mind was I wanted people to leave there saying, you're not alone. We see you and we know it's a hard job. We just want you to know we're here. We don't have all the answers. And Jane and I talked about that. Do we want to open up a can of worms and make them go home feeling depressed? Because, you know, now what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And so
That pulls
I
the
don't need
bag.
help, but I really do. And I don't know where to go. And so we just want to really talk about, bring people together to talk about what are some possible solutions. We do care. We're interested in what you're going through. And the caregiver support group, I think, is a great first start in providing some answers. But at the same time, we need more caregivers to help and come alongside these spouses and others that are caring for people. And just, you know, we need CNAs. We need people
Yeah,
that
and
can
it
do
brings some
this.
humor to the conversation.
Right.
Too. Like, there was one scenario that we saw where a woman was having some repairs done, and the volunteers arrived, and then she gave them this long list, which was much longer than they'd expected. And
Yeah,
so
this long.
how do you deal with that when someone says they expect a lot more and the volunteers aren't prepared for that? And
Right.
how do you brainstorm that? kind of
Right.
scenario?
Yeah, so I did ask them for a scenario regarding handy helpers, because I know it's in our action plan for Millinocket. And so I said, let's do one scenario about being a caregiver, another about we need a handy helper program. And so could we get some people thinking, maybe I could volunteer for something like that, or maybe we could formulate something like that in Millinocket. I just felt like we needed to take the action plan as a jumping off place and say, here's some projects we're proposing in our action plan that need to be done. And so where do we go from here with these? And like Barbara said, they do the scenarios with a bit of humor. I just think it'll be a great opportunity to bring everyone together around the table, the conversation.
And that'd be at Boreal.
Yes, and so I think we have a great venue. I said, I could just envision it. Well, I was thinking of at the beginning, we're gonna have it, ask Randy if we can't rent Boreal for half a day and do this. So the particulars of it, it's going to be held Tuesday, October 11th. That's the Tuesday right after Indigenous People Day, Columbus Day. From the troop will show up at 10 a.m. to do their warm up and set up. And we thought we'll have the event at 11. And here's where I need the committee's help. Discussing about, it costs money to put on an event. We don't really have money to do that necessarily, although Jane's graciously said we can help find some, but we had discussed maybe doing the luncheon ourselves, talked about having it catered. It was really cost prohibitive to have it catered, but we talked about maybe making some crock pots of soup. And I did ask Maria at Yum Bake Shop if she could do maybe cornbread for us to go along with it. Yep, that will cost still, but obviously not as much, but with coffee and maybe some bottled water. The main thing is not the meal. The main thing is the event, but I feel like where it's at lunchtime, we're doing that to try to attract people who are professionals working, giving them an opportunity to get down there for that event. So my question is, do we want to keep it as a luncheon? That's why I didn't print the flyer out, because we have the flyer saying it's a luncheon, but if we don't decide to do it as a luncheon, could we just do something with, Barbara had suggested coffee and muffins?
So let's stop right
Before?
there. I already said I was gonna do the luncheon.
I
I
know.
promised you the.
I don't want you to feel
Yeah,
like,
no,
you know.
people are there. No, so through Thrive Penobscot, I have the
Okay.
funding, the catering. The cost of that was a little bit cost prohibitive, but
Right.
when we talked about like having the cornbread and,
Right.
the coffee and the water or something, and then there's a
Right.
bunch of us that could make some crock pot
Okay,
soups and stuff. So I couldn't imagine bringing people together and it's their lunchtime. and so
Right,
they
right.
have a
That's
right.
what I
So
said. Yeah.
that's
Okay.
gonna
So
happen.
it
So
is-
keep that in there.
okay,
I think concrete numbers, and I know you talked about perhaps bringing up the round tables, you had a venue for church, so
Yeah.
that we could set it up.
Yeah.
So that there could be conversation after.
right, and that was my
The
idea.
presentations
I
and,
think we will need someone to help with the bringing of the feast, because that's something from feast, and then that's one thing that will need some help
Yeah,
on.
if
It's
someone
just
had
little bit.
A
I
truck,
don't
because
have
all
a
I have,
truck.
yeah, all I have is the
Yeah.
Jeep, and I could fit like 2 or 3 tables, but then I would be running back.
And also hauling hot soup.
Well, I can manage that, I
Yeah.
think.
yeah, and we can talk, we'll keep it, we
Right,
can
open.
meet aside for that to
Right.
figure out how the
Okay.
luncheon. So I'm not more concerned, but want to make sure we have the right people in the room,
Right,
and numbers wise. And I know Randy, you talked to us before about capacity, but once tables are set up and there's a place for food and
Mhm.
See,
real seating, realistically, I'm thinking we should come up with a number that we stick with. He had originally had said like there were 48, but whether we
Right.
try to get 36, have 6 of the round tables and 6 at a table.
Right, I like
Um,
it for spacing a bit
Yeah,
further,
yeah,
even when we do dinners at church, or we try
Yeah,
to
we
do
need-
6 per
And there are
table.
a lot of chairs there now. Where would the chairs go if you bring the tables in?
so let's
Around
figure,
the
let's,
Yeah, we can do
It-
this.
The
yeah,
space
as
is
long as-
completely
in a
filled with
committee.
The
chairs.
big questions that we had were, do we still want to do this as a luncheon?
yes,
And so that was, I know that was our big question, right?
Right,
And the logistics of the tables, because we were just
Okay.
like, we don't have a truck.
yeah.
right,
So I think, is it okay do we discuss everything else make another meeting just to?
Yeah, sure, on the
Yeah.
side, that's fine.
Does Randy
I just
know
want to know
about the
from Randy,
primary
does he
tables?
feel like round tables, is it conducive to that space?
Can those, the chairs that are there, can they be stacked to make room for the tables or?
You can do anything you want, Barbara. No, I have 48 chairs there that will be available.
Perfect,
I have 2 6-foot tables. I can get another table.
right.
You mentioned another
Yep,
table.
yep, I just would have a table. The other
For
thought was,
food and
well, I have 2 tables for food and 1, I think, for a
Yeah.
resource table. I've ordered
Yeah.
a lot of things I want people to be able to take something home in their hands.
Mhm.
I've ordered a lot from AARP, whether it be about caregiving, resource.
Why don't we have the next meeting at the theater so you can see?
Okay, sure. You tell me when.
I don't know what the dance, or I don't know what the presentation is going to want. I don't know if they want the risers or not, or just the empty space.
Well,
or-
she wanted to know, do we have something that's elevated? And I said I would check with you on that.
We do.
Yeah,
I don't know how large an elevation area she wants.
she said big enough for 1. She asked me about the 8-foot round table
Uh-huh.
with 4 chairs. That's all they need for prop. So I will bring an additional round table for them.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, okay,
But
As long
the event is before our next meeting. though.
right.
We'll plan,
No, we're gonna meet at the
Yeah.
theater before.
Okay.
With-
Yeah.
So when do you want to do that?
I can do it anytime you say. Your schedule's busier than I'm sure than mine.
It's gonna be October 11th.
Yes, so. End of the week or first next week or,
Yeah, we should, end of the week is bad for me.
okay, that's fine.
Let's see, next week. Maybe Monday would be a good day.
Yeah.
9 o'clock at the theater,
Oh, 900, okay,
okay?
I'll be there and I have that checked. with her.
okay, great.
I'll be there.
I'm not available until after 10, but you guys don't need me.
We'll look at the space and he can show us his vision of how it should be laid out. Mhm, great. So, I just think it's gonna be a good, and one of the reasons I wanted to do it also is just in the last point is I wanted to kick off what I'm calling like a brown bag informational hour at the library. And so each month, I've had numbers of people, whether through caregiving support group, others saying, oh, it'd be great if we had a class about this or that. And so I want to expand on these themes that we're going to see at our meeting and provide some information. I would like to ask one of our primary care physicians there to come and talk about Dementia 101. What are some of the signs and symptoms? What are we seeing? I want to get someone else about safety at home, keeping people safe in their homes as we age. When's it time for hospice? Let's bring in a hospice provider. I know, having worked in that, I know several people that could do a great job with that. The first person I think we may have, and I would like to maybe do it as soon as right before Thanksgiving, is a lady Deborah that Barbara and I had the good fortune of meeting with. She's with the Disability Rights of Maine, and she has hearing loss, and she has lots of information to share about hearing loss. And she said, I understand that you've got mill workers up there, people who don't have great hearing. I have lots of products and information on resources, where to go in the state to get some help and improve quality of life. So I think she would be a great, I could come November because I'm going to Caribou. So I said, okay, let's plan it. So that would be just one of our first kickoff meetings. And I thought this would just be a great event to kind of introduce that, getting together and getting info and expanding access to resources. So, because it's hard. There are a lot of resources, like Jane said, there's lots of resources in the world for things. It's just finding them, sharing that information, and helping people to find out what's there and how to access it. So. that's
And
my plan.
Eastern Area Agency on Aging is going to be highlighted
Everywhere.
significantly at that time.
Everywhere, yeah. And Megan has been, and Andrew as well, been I can't tell you how helpful in just letting us know about these programs, whether it be respite programs, like I said, the products program for the grant that they had for dementia patients, just things we would never know about. And they're just, Megan's so knowledgeable
She
too.
is, yeah.
So it's been a real help to us. that's my spiel. Thank you. I'm looking forward to the event. And please invite people, like your coworkers. As soon as we get that flyer, then I think we could print it and,
So I'm
And
wondering,
hands out.
on Monday, you're gonna meet down at Boreal Theater at
Yeah.
10. Do you have time at 9? Do you have time after that I could like maybe after you? I have a meeting from it that goes 9 to 10 on Monday,
Yeah.
but I could meet after that and we
Yeah.
could like flesh out
Wanna
some
meet
of the
here?
other details.
If we could meet at KGL, I could be part of it.
Oh, sure.
I'm on the shift there. It's usually pretty
Oh,
dead in
okay.
the morning.
Okay,
yeah, so whenever
yeah,
Jane's done, just come down.
Yeah.
so come
So
down.
the 9 to 10 hour is like free. I just have to open up, so I don't. And it's.
Yeah,
down
great.
there, But at 10 o'clock, if we're down there, that would be great.
Yeah, great, perfect.
And then we
Thank
can
you.
just, yeah, keep going with some of the details
Yeah.
that we were talking about here. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Just
we
not
can
get
do that.
bogged down.
Yeah.
And I'll send
so-
a flyer over to Amber as well for inclusion where you feel the advertising can go. I have a list of things that Nicole and I are working on with Facebook, Instagram, library, flyers. I'm gonna ask Randy too about putting it on Boreal's calendar as well. I think a story or some kind of a thing we could do for the paper. I think that would be helpful. Yeah, just.
And so you'll send the caregiver support group. So, so that was the other thing. Amber is getting ready to do the town newsletter. So will you just send her the updated
Yeah.
flyer? for-
I
we
have
did.
that one.
You have that one?
was in the
Okay.
packet I sent you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
We did update and send that.
Very good.
So, and then I want to go around and hand deliver some invites, and I know Jane mentioned about at the town councilors, at the town meeting, not town meeting, but you're at your councilors meeting, inviting those town councilors that would be interested. That would be great. Everyone has a lot of information, lots of ideas to share. I think that's important to put them in the conversation.
Sorry, I just
I know that those.
messing with the
Thank you for your
audio.
time.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm just like watching, watching the clock. So, no, lots of great information you guys are doing, tremendous amount of work and it shows and I appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Moving a
Thanks,
lot of these
library.
projects forward.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Just all the collaboration and all the different
yeah.
partners
Yeah,
and
it's
yeah.
definitely a team effort.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think of anything that we all know and we've learned, one person can't do it all.
No.
Yeah, we have to work together. So I'm gonna try to go through these other things sort of quickly, but I want to touch on them that they're in process. So I received from Tammy Tui of Penquist, like a report out. So remember in May, we opened up our transportation I don't want to say transportation initiative, but as far as age-friendly funding so that using general transportation, and then they have another program, their New Freedom Grant, so that as far as transportation anywhere for Millinocket, East Millinocket, and Medway residents would be free of charge. And so since we opened that up, I know the report back is now they're serving 50 distinct people. Prior to that, they had like 34. So it has increased in like the last 3 months, but also it is spending down the funds. So the town had sent them $2,000 because we had funding left over from that main community foundation fund. And there's $533 left. So $1,400 has been spent in the months of May, June, and July. So I'm going to get some more information. I've got her report and I have some questions about that. Not that, just questions, clarity before like I report out and get more of statistics. It is being used by like our Millinocket Millinocket and East Millinocket mostly. I mean, maybe 3 Medway residents, that sort of thing, but heavily a good split between Millinocket and East Millinocket. But I want to write up a nice little report, but the funding is getting used. So all that funding will be exhausted from the town funds that we had received. And so now it's tapping into some of the Fraud Penobscot funds that I had promised in earmarked. So
Does it tend to be repeaters that? are going
she
to-
said 50 distinct. And so there's quite I did look at this. There were 669 trips between,
Wow. Mhm.
and this was from March to the end of August. Oh no, I'm going to say May to the end of, okay, let me back up. 669 trips in total since March of 2021, after the pandemic, and they got back to doing some of the
Right.
trips, 600. But just since May, 403 trips. So it really increased by opening up that other opportunity there, not just using the van, but using the personal drivers and stuff and going to Lincoln and Bangor or other visits. So yeah, I want to dig down a little bit deeper on just some of like the uses and where people are going, just so we understand it, our residents. And so planning, because once the next $3,000 is spent down, the funding is gone. So I need to be mindful of finding other funding or go back to municipalities and say, is this something that you want to try to continue for your residents? And so like how we tell that story. But this venue and this funding is being used as intended. So that was good. And hopefully, like I said, I'll have a little more details to be able to share with you as I understand the report, as I'm looking at it. Communication, that domain, our goals to increase public awareness of resources available in the event of a local disaster. So Tom, Brittany, and I met with Peter and Amber just to discuss like what's possible through the, so Amber, you help me out. Is it Constant Contact? What is the media platform that you're using now, like to get information out?
Constant Contact.
Okay. And right now it's just, I'm trying to remember from that, it's just emails that go out. There's no way to like send texts to. community members.
There is a way to send text. We're just we're still getting updates on how that process works and the cost of it. Once we have all of that ironed out, we are hoping to bring that on very soon.
Okay.
Jane, you mentioned there might be a contact number. We're still planning that fridge magnet for resources. Would there be a contact number where someone could hear a recorded message? If you need a warm place to shelter, we have the following, kind of that could be updated.
So is the phone number still right now the fire station if somebody's calling and they need a warm place to go, as far as like,
Yes,
yeah.
for the town of Milwaukee.
Yeah.
yes.
So for a phone number to go on a map, I know Barbara's like creating a template for us to look at a list of numbers, community numbers.
Yeah, we just been trying to decide what we're gonna do for what number we want to use,
Okay,
because we're trying to get it so that it doesn't go through the Penobscot.
that it just goes right.
That's our problem.
Local, yeah.
We don't want it to go to Bangor, because they'll just,
And it would be a number that could be updated daily on the case of that storm or something like that.
Yeah, so that's all, like, we're trying to figure that out, and you
Okay.
heard Tom just say, we don't know what number we want to put on
Okay.
there just yet,
Okay.
so.
yeah, but we were talking about how we could get that number out, because the biggest thing with this is the email's fine and the text message is fine,
It's not gonna reach
but
everybody.
not for our elderly
Right,
population.
exactly.
Yeah.
We've gotta have it, so
Yep.
we can put it across the phone line
Right.
Mhm.
somehow.
So let me know when you know. And it's, relevant to that, our hearing expert said even people who basically use the phone can get very shy about it when their hearing is not perfect. So they get really isolated, but
Right.
she has devices that help them convert to text on a phone or increase the sound level. But that's a real problem for people. They
is.
get more and more isolated.
Those are all things that we have to think about and figure out. So Andrew, from Eastern Area Agency, do you have a way to reach the folks like that are, participating in your Meals on Wheels program, that sort of thing? If there was ever like a message had to go out for people in Millnocket.
As far as I know, no, it would just be us looking at our list and making
making
the phone
calls.
calls. Like we would get together, drawing some people from Brewer and pull out numbers and we would just make phone calls.
Yeah.
Now, with Google Phone, you could create a phone on a number, right? That could be used for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Is
that's,
there a reason that we don't do phone trees anymore? Is it just, as you were saying that, I was just thinking of the old fashioned phone trees.
Like what
In
we
some
do.
instances
That's gonna
work
be the best.
Yeah.
so in thinking about this disaster preparedness plan, and how we communicate and reach people, I mean, we need to keep that in mind, but yeah, how are we gonna reach people that are isolated? And so we wanted to sort of do an assessment too of what's available, like what's the school system used to reach parents, and like, are there other systems that we could tap into if once we figure this out, that we're all who would we need to reach? So we're kind of in asking some questions now, inquiry, kind of exploring some things, and seeing
Well,
what we
should-
have for capabilities at the town.
It should be on the town website.
Any
That's the-
messaging
No, the number,
of what to cook?
yeah, for assistance. Heat.
But again, with seniors.
Yeah, there are people
Seniors,
who don't,
yeah,
yeah. Could be both, yeah.
You can get it out to the 3 or 4 oil providers,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
we're also planning, maybe you don't know, Randy, a large fridge magnet that would have emergency resource numbers that we would give out free to people.
The resource. So that's in process. We're working on that. That's part of some of our work plan goals and something else.
And we're gonna talk to the schools. The new superintendent just started this week, so I don't want to hit her with it already, but they have a system. I just need to talk to them and see if there's some way maybe we can tie into that system. As far as the phone message going out, we can still do it out through constant contact, but if we had another avenue
Multiple.
I was gonna say, I get phone calls and text messages
from the school,
yeah.
that's the, yeah. See, we had that system in town. But the school has it now. They have one similar to it. And I just, if you're not there, that leaves a message, correct? If you're answering.
If I don't answer,
Yeah.
yeah, but it goes right to my cell phone, but they send
Right.
a text message right after as well, so you get both, so.
Yep.
There's no excuse if you don't get the message.
That's right.
There are concern to some folks that just do have landlines and then don't have answering machines. There's still some folks that,
There's
You
a
know,
lot
there's a
out
lot.
there, believe it or not, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we
yeah.
make calls daily and the number of people that either have voicemails and their mailbox is full because they don't understand how to delete the messages. Yeah,
yeah. So,
And a lot of the elders just won't do that. They
No.
just won't have 'em.
no, they don't even want to be
No.
told how to do it.
No.
and that's where, like, on the town side, of just having a list of folks that we know that are socially isolated, that live alone, and you actually have to go door to door, or, yeah. So there's a lot to it. It's not easy, but we're thinking through all that, so. All right, Randy, besides your recent injury, was pickleball going?
Pickleball is going very, very well. So much so that they're gonna extend it into the winter and use the school facility. And we have a key or a card or whatever, a swipe to get in the facility Tuesday nights.
Tuesday night.
So I think the school actually has a couple of pickleball nets and they're all striped up in the gymnasium. So I think we're gonna have plenty of resources for that. Yeah,
Has that started inside?
it hasn't started.
Okay. And does somebody have a flyer?
I didn't even realize that you got pickleball going in town.
It's actually one of our very well attended
Oh, yeah.
programs.
Yeah.
It's-
That's great.
I think it's word of mouth though.
It's
Yeah.
Tuesdays at 6:30 at the, or 6 to 6:30, 6 or 6:30 at the tennis court right
Yeah.
now. Soon to move inside.
I think today is the first inside one.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's, I think how I have it in
I'm
the.
out of the
link
loop there then.
calendar, So hopefully I was right.
Okay, yeah,
And we do have a flyer, but it's from the start of it, so I don't know how accurate it still is.
okay, so might
We'll
need
have to
to,
update our flyer.
Mhm.
okay,
And Robin, do you know who has the key access right now
or,
for the gymnasium? Okay, we'll find that out.
yeah,
Yeah, Diana mentioned something about that in our last huddle, I think.
okay, so we want to keep promoting that, and that was gross, so
Yeah.
that was something that Randy was after me for a long, long time. We need to start a pickleball program and do this, and so I use some of McLeod Penobscot funds, so I've been
So you
fortunate to
playing
be able to
now,
be generous with
It's
those,
still-
and
still
starting some of the
dealing.
age-friendly programs,
And we can keep checking out the kids
Pull muscle
themselves.
Yeah.
yeah,
And.
Tore the-
that's-
Part of my
yeah,
gastric knee.
down at the
Yeah,
Bureau
yeah.
Library,
Popular.
yeah.
Call it
Yeah.
tennis.
Have to watch it.
Uh,
See how it's
Like-
played.
So we'll have to learn, yeah.
Apparently it's pretty, like, you can pick up on it pretty quickly,
Yeah.
so a lot of people are saying it's really in all ages.
It is, yeah.
So.
I was down at the playground one weekend with my grandson, and there were some people playing, and he ventured over there, we did, so they let us play for a little while, just to
Oh,
try to
cool.
hit it
Yeah, I
around.
just
So
love
I
to
get-
wa-
I get some pictures.
It's,
They allow
uh,
spectators,
Yeah.
you can just,
Oh, yeah.
I don't wanna play, I just
Yeah,
wanna watch.
just little, yeah. so
Cheer.
I can
It's
do-
adult ping pong
It's like
Yeah.
adult ping pong, yeah, small
with a
spaces,
big
but
court.
you can still get hurt. You gotta
Oh,
be
you can
very
still get
careful,
hurt,
yeah, you still can get hurt. So
This
great.
just seems like a good time to maybe ask Amber, do we have a community calendar in progress for the town? Because I was doing an open house at Katahdin Arts and someone came in and said, where can I find out what's going on tonight in town? And things like pickleball and potlucks and all these
There
things.
is a community, well, there's a meeting schedule and like committee meeting schedule. As far as community events, we are hoping that people will share them with us so then I can send them along to be posted on the website. We are regularly updating our homepage. And if you go onto the homepage, the landing page, it'll say upcoming events, and that's where those would be located.
Are those just town-sponsored events? I mean, if different organizations are having a potluck or there's stuff at the library, is that on?
You have a
Not,
link,
not at this
Alright.
point, no.
Okay.
do you have a link to the library Google Calendar, I think, I have or something on the website? I thought you had mentioned, or am I wrong on that?
There is a link to your website on our website, and I also had been sharing the direct calendar on Constant Contact the past few months.
All right, thank you. Very
No
helpful.
Does the
problem.
chamber have anything like listed for events?
Chambers hardly even running. right
Yeah, I
now.
was gonna
Yeah,
say,
right,
that's
They're in limbo right now.
Okay.
sad.
Okay, so let's talk about our next meeting. So our next meeting here at the library, not of this committee, but our M- committee is Thursday at 10 a.m. So if there's many of you that I'll see right back here Thursday morning for that
One
work
way or another,
with that.
one way or another.
One way or the, yeah, and for our monthly age-friendly meeting, so the next one would be October 18th, and I wondered, could people come at 3 o'clock if we moved it up until 3?
That's a great
instead of
idea.
4?
Mhm.
And if the room was available, I know last time we scheduled it, the room was being used, so this particular meeting couldn't be at 3, but
Yeah.
going forward, 3 o'clock would work for folks.
Oh, yeah, we're better than,
So
later.
that's, all right, we'll do that. So I will send out a, I'll send out a meeting.
Change.
And hopefully I've got everybody's on, everybody, I apologize to
Can you send me an
Andrew.
Update for the dash, so I can add that. to the
Okay,
voting calendar.
Okay, send that to you as well,
Yeah.
so. Very good, very productive meeting, lots of stuff going on, lots of great
And can I
information.
put a plug in? We have started our community cafes again here in town Tuesday and Wednesday,
Okay,
from 10:30 to 1. And all we need is, if people want to come, they just need to make a reservation. And they would call Nancy, right upstairs, 723-2045.
2045.
And they would have to call by Friday afternoon for Tuesday, and by Monday afternoon for Wednesday.
So is that something we can get to Amber so she can put it in the town newsletter? Do you have
Absolutely.
some, that would be great, huh?
Yeah.
I need the PDF by Friday or like a photo, a JPEG.
Okay. I can do that.
That would
Did
be
you say
good.
Monday and Wednesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Wednesday.
Excuse me.
So what is this?
Friday for Tuesday.
The community
Monday
cafe.
for Wednesday.
That's
where the
what
Monday
Monday came in.
Yeah.
Can you define that?
Those are
one?
so many words for me.
It's at
That
Stearns.
is, so the community
Assisted?
cafe,
It's at the,
we do it up at
yeah,
Stearns
down
Park,
at
or,
the
sorry, in our
local farm down
office
where
at
we used to have
Stearns
the
Assisted.
teen center.
And they provide a meal for us. It's by donation only,
No,
recommended
it's not.
$7.
The basement.
If somebody doesn't have the money to make it a hot
First.
meal, it varies day to day what they do. Sometimes it's a Yankee pot roast, they do chicken pot pie, stuffed shells. It really varies depending on what Robin upstairs is cooking that day.
It's Tuesday, Wednesday, from 11 to.
From 10:30 to 1.
Okay.
And you said that is eat-in?
Eating,
now?
yes.
Okay. And is the whole like section open? I know.
It's our whole dining area down
Like
below.
even the billiards area, is
Yep.
that open? Awesome.
And how much is it for, in case people ask?
So 60 up, it's by donation, $7 per person. Donation only, we don't expect everyone to pay, if they don't have the money.
Right.
below 60, it is a requirement to pay, and it is $7.
$7, wonderful, you can get a meal for $7.
Yeah, the last time we were there was $4 and $5. so
Yeah, yeah,
I think
prices
it's
have
gone
definitely
up.
gone up.
They say it
Yeah.
used to be $3.50.
Yeah.
Food costs, I know.
Yes. We just recently had to up our Meals on Wheels cost for the doorstep diners to $6.50. So from $5, and it had been $5 for
Forever.
6 years.
Yeah, I
so.
remember that.
The school just had to put an extra $10,000 in their school lunch program.
Yeah,
And how long have we been in school?
exactly.
Month and a half?
Yeah.
It's just,
And then trying to find the
Food is-
product from the vendors too.
food is
So
just-
that's kind of our deal with upstairs. It's what Robin,
whatever.
you know,
Robert's
what
doing.
she can
Yeah.
get, so.
And another
any
thing
other
I should
updates?
mention.
Yep.
The sidewalk on Katahdin Avenue is non-passable. Okay, if you get up around the Stearns Building or around the corner on Katahdin Avenue,
Yes,
don't try to walk on that sidewalk. That is not passable. They have ground it up and it's a big mound of tar.
yeah.
We had 2 people fall there yesterday because they're trying to walk on that.
Jesus.
So
Is
in
it
the
blocked
process-
off and everything?
it's
I
got
mean,
signs.
Signs.
Is it in the process of being
They're doing a bunch of places, then they're gonna hot top, but they're getting it all ground up first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But-
no common sense.
Any other updates if we can adjourn?
Can I just say something?
Please.
It's been months since I've been at this meeting and it's so exciting and I have to commend all of you. I mean, to see the action plan actually taking
Action.
place,
Yeah.
it's really
Absolutely.
exciting. Yeah, it's like, wow, yeah, yeah, so, good job.
Thank you.
Now you're back for the winter.
Yeah.
All right,
No Baxter Park this winter.
all right.
No back.
So
to front
thank you,
this
Amber.
winter,
You-
so.
She's out of the park.
Still got a couple more months left.